Hello kids, today we are going to continue reading The Way Up to Heaven, pages 44 and 45. Hoy vamos a seguir leyendo The Way Up to Heaven, las páginas 44 y 45. Vamos a hacer un breve repaso, ¿sí? So, Mrs. Foster is going to the airport to take a plane to Paris. Está yendo al aeropuerto a tomar un vuelo hacia París, ¿sí? Para visitar a su hija y a sus nietos, que no los conoce. So, then Mr. Foster appeared again, and the butler helped him to put on his coat. Mrs. Foster hurried outside and got into the hired car. Her husband came after her, but he walked down the steps slowly, pausing halfway to look up the sky and smell the cold morning air. Se estaban subiendo al auto, sí, que el chofer los iba a llevar hacia el aeropuerto. Mr. Foster no iba a ir a París, simplemente quería acompañarla al aeropuerto y se estaba tomando todo su tiempo para subirse al auto. It looks a bit foggy, he said, as he sat down beside her. And it's always worse out there at the airport. I shouldn't be surprised if the flight can't take off. Don't say that, dear, please. They don't speak again until the car had crossed over the river to Long Island. Entonces, bueno, el marido la sigue molestando, le dice que hay un poco de niebla y que no piensa que el avión despegue. I arranged everything with the servants, Mr. Foster said. They're all going away today. I gave them half pay for 6 weeks and told Walker I'd write him when we wanted them back. Yes, she said, he told me. I'm moving to the club tonight. It'll be a nice change, staying at the club. Yes, dear, I'll write to you. Mr. Foster le cuenta que habló con los sirvientes y que les dijo que les iba a dar la mitad de paga por estas 6 semanas que Mrs. Foster iba a estar en París y que él, el marido, Mr. Foster, se iba a ir a quedar en el club, ¿sí? Entonces la casa iba a quedar vacía, ya que Mrs. Foster se va a París, Mr. Foster se queda a vivir en el club mientras su mujer no está y los sirvientes tenían vacaciones. I'll call in at the house occasionally to see that everything's all right and to collect the mail. But don't you really think that Walker should stay there all the time to look after things? She asked nervously. Nonsense, it's quite unnecessary, and I'd had pay him full wages. Oh yes, she said, of course. What's more, you never know what people do when they are left alone in the house, Mr. Foster announced, and with that he took out a cigarette and lit it with a gold lighter. Mrs. Foster le pregunta a su marido si no sería mejor que Walker, ¿sí? Que es el mayordomo, se quede igualmente en la casa, aunque él no esté, para cuidarla. Él dice, no, de ser así tendría que pagarle el sueldo entero y no sabemos lo que va a hacer él solo en la casa. She sat still in the car with her hands held tightly together. Will you write me? She asked. I'll see, he said, but I doubt it. You know I don't like letter writing unless there's something particular to say. Yes, dear, I know, so don't trouble yourself. They drove on, and as they came nearer to the flat land on which the airport was built, the fog began to thicken and the car had to slow down. Mrs. Foster le pregunta a su marido si él le va a escribir cartas mientras ella esté afuera y él le dice que no, que sabe que no le gusta escribir cartas. Mientras se acercaban más al aeropuerto, la niebla se hacía peor y el auto tuvo que bajar la velocidad. Oh dear, cried Mrs. Foster. I'm sure I'm going to miss it now. What time is it? Stop worrying, the old man said. It doesn't matter. They never fly in this sort of weather. I don't know why you came out at all. She could not be sure, but it seemed to her that there was suddenly a new note in his voice, and she turned to look at him. It was difficult to notice any change in his expression under all that hair. Of course, he went on, if by any chance it does go, then I agree with you. You'll be certain to miss it now. Why don't you get used to the idea? El marido seguía insistiendo con que el avión no iba a despegar y que se vaya haciendo la idea de que se iba a tener que quedar y posponer su vuelo. She turned away and looked through the window at the fog. It seemed to be getting thicker as they went along, and now she could only just see the edge of the road. She knew that her husband's eyes were still on her. She looked at him again, and this time a wave of terror swept over her, and she noticed that his eyes were fixed on the little place in the corner of her eye where she could feel the muscle trembling. Le empezó a temblar de nuevo el músculo del ojo, como cuando se pone nerviosa. Won't you? He said. Won't I what? Be sure to miss it now if it goes. We can't drive past in this fog. He didn't speak to her any more after that. The car drove slowly on and on. The driver had a yellow lamp directed onto the edge of the road, and this helped him to keep going. Other lights, some white and some yellow, kept coming out of the fog towards them, and there was an especially bright one, and that followed close behind them all the time. El chofer tuvo que apuntar con una luz para poder ver el camino. Suddenly, the driver stopped the car. There, Mr. Foster cried. We are stuck. I knew it. No, sir. This is the airport. Habían llegado al aeropuerto.